chapter.
Okay, fifth grade, today we're going to start lesson 3-5 on the distributive property. It is found on page 72 and 73 in your textbook. So let's have our textbooks out, get the spiral out, and open to your next page. We'll start with our objective today. I can use the distributive property to simplify expressions and solve equations. So that's our goal by the end of today's lesson, to make sure we can use the distributive property to simplify. Simplify meaning make easier expressions and solve equations. Okay, once you have your objective copied down, we're going to start today and go through the tops of page 72 and 73 first verbally and reading together, and then we will stop to take notes. Our first question there is, how can you use the distributive property to write expressions and solve equations? It says, what expressions can you write to represent the number of square units inside the rectangle? Okay, fifth grade, I need you to look at that rectangle with me and put your finger over there. I need to first know, what does this figure show? What is it? What shape is it? Good, a rectangle. And how many parts does it have? How many parts is it split into? 2. Good. Okay, all right, now I need you to know, what are the dimensions of the whole rectangle? So that means how many rows and how many columns total. Keeping in mind, rows go from left to right and columns go up and down. Let's look at the whole thing. So how many rows are for the whole rectangle? You see there on the left side there is the number 6. So there are 6 rows. And how many total columns? How many columns going up and down? You will see at the top there, there's a total of 18. Okay, so the dimensions of the whole rectangle are 6 rows by 18 columns. Okay, what are the dimensions now of each part, of each of those 2 rectangles that are there inside? You have 6 rows, and you will see 10 columns for the first one, so 6 rows by 10 columns. Now go to the second one to your right there. Again, you will have 6 rows, but this time how many columns? Look at the bottom there. 8. Good. So the second dimensions there, the second part, is 6 rows by 8 columns. Now go follow that arrow at the top of 72 to the top of page 73. It says 3 ways to find the number of square units. It gives us 3 ways to look at how we can find that. Number one says, think of 6 rows with 18 in each row. And what multiplication problem is that? You will see there off to the right, it says 6 times 18. The second way there, they say, think of 18, instead of using 18, break it down into something easier as 10 plus 8. So you will see there now the expression is 6 times 10 plus 8. The third way they say here is, think of the figure in 2 parts. It says the orange part has 6 times 10 square units, and the green part has 6 times 8 square units. Okay, so they show you that picture, they show you the yellow, and they show you the green. Then underneath there, they show you that the total then is the sum of the 2 parts. So you multiply each part and then add it together. So those are your 3 ways that we can look at how to find the total number of square units. Go to the right there now, and it says, since the expressions name the same number of square units, you can write an equation there. And they put the equation 6 times 10 plus 8 is equal to 6 times 10 plus 6 times 8. In 5th grade, that is showing you and modeling to you what is called the distributive property. You will see there that it's highlighted. It says, it states that multiplying a sum or a difference, so we could be either adding or subtracting, by a number is the same as multiplying each number in the sum or difference by that number and adding or subtracting the products. Okay, so we've gone through, that's what they give us our information-wise. Now let's take a minute and let's get down that information into our notes. So again, you want to put your question, how can you use the distributive property to write expressions and solve equations? And then here we put down the 3 ways to find the number of square units. 5th grade, all of this is directly in your text that we just read through together. I would like you to copy it down and start thinking about it as you write. You will see off here to the right, I put, for those that need a reminder, again, rows are the squares that move or go from left to right, and your columns are what is up and down. So just a little short reminder, if you're forgetting what a row and a column is, make sure you put that in your notes. Okay, we want to make sure here the distributive property states that's what's highlighted in your text, and we need to get that copied down into your spiral. Take a minute to do that. Okay, now we're going to begin our guided practice. Do you know how? Number 1 asks us to use the distributive property to complete the equation. So what you're going to need to do here, just like I have, I started copying. Okay, I would like you to copy down the equation as it is in the textbook, and you will see here we have the blanks there, and I left those open. So take a minute to copy that problem down. Okay, now let's start using what we know about the distributive property and breaking things down to solve our problem. Here we have 12 times 308. What we want to do is we want to take this number, our second number here, and distribute the value of those digits. That's how I like to think of it. So what we're going to do here is 12 times, what is the value of this 3? 300. Good. So this becomes 12 times 300. Then we go back to the value, and then that's plus 8. That's where they get the 8. So you're taking this number here and putting the value of each digit in parentheses and adding it together. Okay, so now our second step would be, now what would we need to do to solve? Our first thing we would do here is we would take 12 times what numbers here? 300. Good. That's what's going to move right down into this spot. So now we have 12 times 300 plus, now what's going to go here? What's our first number up here? 12. So 12 gets repeated times 8. So again, now we're taking this 12, timesing it by the first value of 3 here, that digit, it's 300, plus 12, and the value of the 8, plus 12 times 8. Now what we need to do is just solve those products and get our products here. So what is 12 times 3? Good, 36. Okay, now we go back and count our zeros. How many? 2. Good job. So now we have 3,600 plus, now what is 12 times 8? Good, 96. Okay, and now we're left to do our addition problem. What's 36,000 plus 96? 3,696. So that's how we use the distributive property to take, you're basically taking the value of each digit and adding it together and multiplying.